Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Lady Gang Quickie. Obviously, this is not Becca's voice that you're hearing. It's mine, Jac's. And if you listened to last week's Quickie, you know that Kelty did a really cute episode with her mom for Mother's Day, and we're continuing it on. And I am sitting here with my mom, my best friend, May Vanek.
And Dad filming us as usual.
And Dad filming us in the corner because duh. Hi, Dad. He's so cute. Obviously, Mother's Day is coming up. Also, my birthday is coming up. You know, when I become a mom, Mother's Day is going to be on my birthday sometimes.
Yep, sometimes it will.
That's kind of a bummer.
I know.
But whatever.
Well, maybe you'll have your baby on Mother's Day too.
Oh my God. That would be too much to handle at once.
Yeah.
I love you so much. I'm so happy that you're here.
I love you too.
Is this it? No, you've been on our podcast before, a long time ago.
A long time ago. That was when you guys first started.
I know.
It was probably like your fourth or fifth episode.
I think we needed to get somebody canceled and you're like, I'll drive all the way up from Orange County to be on your podcast last minute.
Yeah.
That's the kind of mom you are.
Yes.
You'll just show up all the time and it's the best.
I have to.
Okay, so Becca and Kelty prepared all these questions. We were supposed to ask the same 7 questions.
Okay.
I'm probably going to go off script a little bit.
As usual.
And ask my own questions because that's what I do.
Okay.
First of all, I just wanted to start broad. What does motherhood mean to you?
It's basically, once you have a child, that's putting that child's needs before your own.
Yeah.
And your partner's.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say, oh, you have to, put your partner's needs before your kids. And it's like, no, not for us.
Yeah.
Dad and I felt the same way.
Yeah.
That once we had you were the number one priority.
And did you talk about this before you had me? That was, or was that just an unspoken thing?
No, I think it was probably more of an unspoken thing.
Yeah.
But, they say, oh, what happens if you had to save one, your wife or your kid?
Yeah.
If Dad picked me over you, I would literally kill him.
Yeah.
And the same thing with him too.
For sure.
I picked him over you.
Yeah.
Which would never happen either way.
Yeah.
He'd kill me.
Yeah.
So yes, it's making sure that your children are the number one priority.
Yeah. And I think that anybody that sees our relationship, whether that be on Instagram or my friends or Jared or whoever, obviously note that's the biggest thing that anybody sees is you and Dad are so integrated in my life. Your lives are my life, basically. And you've been there for every single second of every single day. And that's something that I never realized when I was younger that not everybody had. There are a lot of strained relationships that people have with their parents. And I just never realized how lucky I was until I got older.
Right. Well, you have to have the values. Your values have to match your partner's too. Yeah. So Dad and I felt the same way. And it's not just putting you, as a priority is a hardship for us. We want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not something that, I have to do. No,
right.
I want to do it. It's just, to me, it just seemed very natural once I had you.
Yeah.
You never really feel a love like you feel for your children.
Right.
It's a different kind of love than you feel for your partner.
Yeah.
It's just, there's nothing more intense than the love you feel for your child.
Yeah.
So for me, once you feel that love, it's just automatic in your brain.
It just is.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that too, because there were some questions what's the biggest lesson that you've learned from your parents or whatever? You and Dad are not the type of people that are going to be sit down and let me give you a one-liner that you're going to remember. You know what I mean? Because people will be oh, my dad once told me that blah, 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 blah. You aren't those kind of parents. I feel you've always just led by example, especially in that way where it's you just show up because that's what you do. And I think that has taught me just from you leading by example to be a really good daughter, to be a really good partner to Jared, to be a really good friend. It's I just show up because that's what you do and it's natural and it isn't a burden or it isn't an obligation. It's just that's what you do for the people that you care about. And it's just been so easily, it's just a part of me.
Right. Showing up is huge. I mean, when you were like in elementary school, I'd feel so sorry for the kids. Like if there was a play or if there was something and nobody showed up for them. That is so sad.
Yeah.
Somebody has to show up. It doesn't have to always be the parents, but somebody has got to be
Yeah.
there for the child.
Yeah.
And I think especially when you're younger, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's funny too with dad. It's like dad worked full time, and any memory that I have from being a kid, I'm like, dad was always there.
Right.
He was always there.
Yeah. Well, he took his time off to do, he took vacation time to go see your play or whatever he had to do.
Yeah.
So you can show up. I mean, I know for a lot of people, especially if you're a single mom, I don't know how people who are single moms do it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's got to be the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
So, there's other circumstances too that, will prevent people from doing that, but you do it as much as you can.
Yeah. No, you guys, I mean, we're
Yeah.
obviously.
And showing up is huge. I think that is huge for people.
Yeah. So I want to talk about just because obviously Jared and I are thinking about having kids somewhat soon. Maybe in the next
I'm waiting.
maybe in the next like year-ish. I'm like, oh, but like I have to go to when we're young, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do this. Maybe I'll do it after that. But it's coming. I mean, we want to get a house soon. We want to live by you guys. That I guess that's one of a question that we were kind of chatting about before, where I think the question was, what's a lesson in life that you wish you learned sooner? And you were kind of talking about, I mean, it's pretty much impossible to raise a kid on your own, right? Like without help, especially these days where both parents have to work. Like you need help.
You need a support system. I have all the respect in the world for people who have to do it on their own. I mean, that is just, to me, it's mind-boggling. Because
Yeah.
I could have never done it. It's so hard.
Well, and you were a stay-at-home mom for the first, 16 years of my
Yeah.
life? Yeah, because people could be stay-at-home moms back in the day because you could live on a single income.
Back in the day, we lived on a single income, but we really did sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been great to have another income, but to us, it was more important for me to stay home at that time, and we could. You can't do that nowadays.
No.
You just can't. You don't have that option.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're like super, super wealthy, you can't stay home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not an option, which is sad that we don't have, at least for a couple of years, where people could stay home for the first couple of years and, they would get some kind of a subsidy or paid for that.
Yeah.
Because it's beneficial, obviously, to the child and to the parent, but people don't have that luxury these days. It is a sad state of affairs.
I mean, the world is in a sad state of affairs. But you were talking about how you wish that, we had, because we have a big family in New York. Your family, the Terraces side, you have two sisters and a brother. So there's 4 of you, and everybody has a ton of kids. And I mean, that's something that it makes me sad too, because it's like, we would have loved to be around them and to be around family. Like, we're the 3 Musketeers, me, you, and dad. Like, and it's just us. And then now it's me, you, dad, and Jared. And it's just us. And like, when I have a kid, thank God we're going to have you and dad. But not a lot of people, but some people are super fortunate to have their families around and to have other kids around. Like, there is a sense of being an only child that it's like, it's kind of tough in some ways, but I don't know the difference. So I'm like, it's not actually tough for me, but like, having family around is a huge deal.
Right. That's one thing, especially when you have a newborn and a toddler and they're still really little. It's hard. It's so hard when you just want to go to the bathroom by yourself or you want to take a shower.
Yeah.
And there's no family to call to say, can you come over for an hour just to give me a break?
Yeah.
So I stayed home with you, but I didn't have anybody to help me either. And I didn't know what I was doing either because I didn't have, my mother died when I was 10. So I didn't have a mother that could come and help me.
Yeah.
So I had nobody here and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was like crazy.
Well, and your one sister had kids that were older than me, but she was in New York. So it's not like I'm sure she gave you advice like along the way, but you don't have somebody to watch your kid while you need to take a shit.
No. Or just to like, how do I bathe this child? I mean, now you have YouTube and you can look up, or wherever, TikTok or wherever, you can look up all sorts of things. But back then we didn't have anything. It was
how did you look up what to do?
We didn't know. I mean,
you just guessed?
You just managed, I guess. I don't know. And it was like, when we took you home from the hospital, we're like, Dad and I were both looking at each other like, they're going to allow us to take this human being home? We don't know how to take care of this child. We have no idea. And we were older parents for back then.
Yeah.
I was 31 when I had you. So that was pretty old back in the day.
Yeah.
And
still,
I was like, I have no idea what I am doing. I have no idea.
Well, that's how I feel like I'm going to be. I don't know if I've ever held a baby before, really. I saw Ford, Becca's son, when he was born, but like he was just like laying down and I was just kind of like touching him. I'm like, hi. But I'm like, I'm terrified to hold a newborn baby. I'm terrified they're going to stop like breathing when I hold them. But I guess maybe it's more you just like your motherly maternal instincts kind of come into play in a sense.
Well, even when I had you and, we brought you home and you went to sleep for the night, especially, for the first couple of months, I was like, you go over and you just make sure you're breathing. It's like, I don't know. Is this child breathing? Is this child alive? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you got colic and you started screaming every day, all day long.
So you knew I was alive.
You were not an easy baby.
Well, I'm not. I never was.
You were not an easy baby.
You said that I came out of the womb with my eyes wide open and I've always been like looking around just like, what now? What now? What now?
And you've never been a good sleeper. So you were up all the time. Like all the books and everything you read would say, oh yeah, the newborn's going to sleep like 20 hours out of the 24 hours. And it was like, when? It was like the opposite for you. You were like awake 20 hours and maybe slept 4 hours. And then when you were awake, you wanted to also be entertained all the time. You were never just one to just let you be there.
And nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. You're still the same.
If I sit around for 5 minutes, I'm like, getting a little anxious now. I got to do something.
I mean, you would like run to the door and just say, when you were little, like 1 year old, go, go, go. You wanted to go somewhere and go do things.
We call them Jactivities now.
Yes.
I always have to be doing things.
You do. And you were also very particular, even as a child, a baby. You just wanted things
my way.
So, yes.
It's OCD kind of shining through from when I was a baby. I want to talk about, you said something probably like months ago, just in passing, and I really like held on to it. It's the one thing that it's like, oh, like a something my parents said that like sticks in my mind. And we were talking about like, I think like the love languages or something like that. There's like words of affirmation, acts of service, blah, 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 quality time. And you were mentioning, you're like, we like to spend quantity time together, not quality time.
Right.
Like explain that.
Well, just being there, just physically being there with each other. Like when you come and visit us, it's not like we're doing things all the time.
No, we're laying around on the couch.
We're laying around, we're watching TV or we're just eating or whatever. We're not doing any like, I mean, we do go out and do things.
Yeah.
But
not all the time.
And we like doing activities. We like that part of it too. But the other part is just being like physically being there with each other.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, like as much as you can. Again, everybody's circumstance is different.
Yeah.
Some people are working 2 and 3 jobs. So, that's a hard part for them as well. But as much as you can, just physically being in the same location.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference because I think for a child, it fosters like dependability and they know somebody kind of has their back. Yeah. Basically.
And as I've gotten older, I obviously like understand the importance of it, where it's just like, that's a big reason why we wanted to move back down here. Cause I'm like, the only thing that's changing is time and you only have a limited amount of it. So it's like, why would I be like off over here if I could be spending it with like the most important people in my life?
Right.
That's like a big lesson that I've learned as I've gotten older.
And I think too, with a lot of people have a lot of pressure to like buy things for their kids and, go on like these vacations or whatever. I mean, you see stuff on like TikTok or you see stuff on social media, people doing all these things.
Yeah.
But really the important thing is just being there with your child. And with people, and the way the economy is these days, you can't really afford to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard. So just, drawing with your child or, watching TV or whatever it is, just physically being there is good.
Well,
and paying attention to them too.
Yeah. Well, it's like the little things are the big things. It's like even going on a walk or like drawing or, I mean, I feel like especially as I've gotten older, like the quality time that we spend, it's like, I love when I'm painting with dad or I love when we go on our walks. Like it's the simplest, freest things that like when I compare that to like, oh, when I was in Spain on the beach, I'm like, what am I really holding value on? It's really just like doing the little things with the people that I love.
Right.
That like means the most.
When you were, obviously you were always very artistic and you and dad just used to sit on the floor and draw for like hours together.
Yeah. That's going to be like Jared playing guitar with our future child.
Right. And dad has a lot more patience than I do too. He can sit there and do stuff like that for a long time where I cannot.
You're like, get out of here. I want to talk about like my different phases when I was younger. Cause one of the questions that Kelsey and Becca wanted to answer is like, what phase? I mean, I was a pretty easy kid, not easy kid, but I was a good kid.
You were a good
because I
kid.
had good parents.
Right.
I didn't really go through like any bad phases. I mean, I had my like emo phase, but like I was really just a poser.
Right.
But like the question was like, what was like the toughest phase to see me go through? I mean, maybe like
I think probably junior high.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, and I think for most girls, junior high is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you were probably almost every girl was bullied at some point in junior high and, felt bad about themselves, didn't like the way they looked or, people picking on them. And it probably, if you didn't have that happen in junior high, you were probably the one doing the bullying.
Absolutely.
So I think that was probably the hardest time. And then, girls can be very psychologically damaging to each other, which is unfortunate at that age, especially around junior high, 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
It was horrible.
They can just be, vicious. So that was hard.
Yeah, that was.
Do you remember when the girl sent you the Barbie?
No.
She sent you like a mutilated Barbie with her head pulled off and her arms pulled off. And because you had dressed up as Shakira for Halloween and somebody said that you looked like Barbie. I don't know. Maybe they said you looked like Shakira. You dressed up like it's something and they said you looked like Shakira because you had your hair all like crimped. And she hated that. So that's when she started getting a little vicious with you.
I blocked that out of my memory.
Oh my God, I wish I could.
Oh, like it was just so bad. I just remember coming home crying all the time.
Yeah.
It was just, it
was horrible.
Girls that age are so scary.
Well, it's like one turns against you and then they turn the whole group against you.
I do remember when we had like that burn book kind of a thing. And it was like every week we like decided to turn against somebody in our friend group.
Yeah.
And then when it turns against you, you're like, nah, my world is ending.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about like in my 20s when I was dating the wrong people? Was that tough for you? Or did you know that
you were just young and you didn't really date that many people. Truthfully, let's be truthful.
Not really. I just chased after boys for the most part.
I know. You just really didn't date that many people because you didn't seem to really like that many guys.
No, yes and no.
I guess when you got a little older, like after maybe you were like in your, 18, 20, but in high school.
Oh, no, in high school I didn't at all.
No,
because I was going to shows and like trying to like kiss band guys.
Right.
I was not interested.
But you weren't really dating.
No, I wasn't dating. My first boyfriend was Ryan Ross.
Right. And you were what, 18 years old? Yeah.
And that lasted like 90 days.
I just remember in high school one time, this boy was one of the football players and he just really, really, really liked you. And you were like, no. And it was like, he's so cute.
Wait, who was it? Just say it. Nobody knows.
His name was Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah. I can't remember. Oh, I know. I'm not going to say it. I remember his last name.
Ryan. What phase of my life are you the most proud of?
Proud of? I'm just proud of you as a person.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, there's no real phase that I'm proud of. I just think you are a wonderful person.
Aw.
You're like the best. You're my best friend and
You're the best.
my best daughter,
Aw,
my only child.
I know.
I know. You're
Well,
just the best.
Well, because you raised me to be the best.
Yeah.
Can we talk about, because we're obviously best friends,
We are.
but you've never been like the cool, I mean, you are a cool mom. Like all of my friends love you, but like you were never like the mean girls cool mom. It's
No.
like, come to our house to like drink alcohol.
No,
or like,
that's the last thing in the world I would ever do. Those people are crazy.
Crazy. How do you think, well, I guess my question's like two-pronged, because how do you think you managed to have that kind of relationship with me where it's like, I still view you, I've never viewed you as a friend. I mean, you're my best friend, but I've never viewed you as like an equal or
Right.
like you've always
I'm
been
still your mother.
You've always been my mom. Like, what advice do you have to maybe moms to be or younger moms and having that type of relationship with their daughter?
Well, I think that just like really early on, you have to just make sure that your children are comfortable coming to you to tell you anything that
Yeah.
happens to them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the most important things, to ask questions like, about their day or what's happening or how they feel, all those things all the time. Not just like one day I'm going to do it, like every day you're doing it.
Yeah.
Every day.
From when you're like a little
From
kid.
when you're can't even talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're still talking to your baby.
Yeah.
And just making sure that they're comfortable coming to you to say anything that they, feel or anything that happened.
Yeah.
As you got older, I made sure that I knew everything that you were doing.
Yeah. So
Even though you didn't think I did.
You were spying on my
was spying
emails,
on everything.
my texts, everything.
Everything. Your notes, people wrote you, everything.
Yeah.
I read it all. I knew everything that was going on, but I didn't tell you I was doing it.
No.
You didn't know I was doing it.
Well, because then it's like you lose your trust with your kid because you think
Right.
that your parents are spying on you.
Right. Or they just will learn to hide it better.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Well, I never hid anything from you
No.
because I didn't. Well, number one, I was never doing anything bad.
No,
either.
that's the other thing. You weren't, if I had found out like you were doing some crazy ass stuff, I would have
it would have been different.
it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other thing. But how are you going to find that out if you don't look at everything that's going on? Especially nowadays. I mean, it's even worse with
Oh my God. People's
the internet
Instagrams and shit.
People online and all that stuff, people getting lured places, children getting lured and groomed and all that stuff. It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be really, really careful with your child.
And then you used to do things where like you'd see me talking to somebody about something, but then you'd bring it up to me in like an interesting way.
Right. I usually would say, oh, on Oprah today, they were talking about like teenage kids and drinking or whatever it is. And whatever it was I saw in a note or, online or something, I'd bring it up in that way to tell you about it without you knowing that I was looking at your stuff.
Yeah. It always worked.
It did work.
I never thought you were looking at my stuff ever.
It did. And the funny thing is sometimes I would hear you say to your friends what I had said to you.
Really?
Yep.
So I was really taking it in.
You were.
Yeah. Wow. You and Dad also you balanced this being super involved in my life and being really protective, but still giving me freedom too. Like, I never felt like you guys were helicopter parents. I never felt like you were like in my shit. I never thought you were looking at all of my text messages and notes and stuff. Even the day after I graduated high school, I was on a plane to go on Warped Tour for the first time. And Dad was on the plane with me. He flew with me to like Kansas. And you guys let me go on Warped Tour when I was 18 years old.
I know. That was crazy.
Which is crazy looking back. I'm like, I don't think I'd let my kid do that.
No, nowadays you would never let your kid do anything.
No.
But, you were always like really responsible.
Yeah.
We knew you weren't having sex.
Yeah.
That was another thing.
Yeah.
you had a good head on your shoulder. You weren't doing drugs.
Yeah.
You were drinking a little bit, but
not like a lot.
I mean, well.
I mean, so is everybody.
Yeah. And, I knew you were a pretty good kid and that if anything happened, that you would call us right away.
Yeah.
That was the other thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was hard. It didn't last very long and you came back.
Yeah, I got fired from my first Warped Tour job. I mean, I worked for a scam company, but
yeah.
But
and Dad almost got in a fight with
somebody.
One of the people because they weren't paying you.
I'll never forget that. No, it's just been, you guys just did such a great job where it's like you allowed me to do what I wanted to do. Like you allowed me to go to all the well, in the beginning, you used to drive me to the concerts.
Oh, yeah.
You would drive me to
not in the beginning, for many years.
You'd drive me to Chain Reaction, which was the best concert venue in Anaheim. You would park a block away and let me walk up to the venue like it looked like I was there on my own.
Yeah, a block away? I don't think we let you walk a block.
Or whatever.
I think we let you walk like around the corner, maybe.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
yeah.
Around the corner. So it didn't look like my parents were dropping me off. And then you would wait for the entire concert to be over and you'd wait for me to be able to go take pictures with the band guys and you would pick me up.
Right.
Because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to baseball or football games. I didn't want to do all these things.
And we were watching you then too.
When?
I mean, like when you were talking to the people out front.
Was Dad like?
No, we would park where we could see what was happening.
Always watching
You're
me.
lucky we didn't go in the concert with you.
I know. I mean, did you ever?
No.
No, you never did.
No.
I was always, well, I mean, I had like friends with me.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously I'm becoming a mom, hopefully sometime, maybe soon. I don't know.
Very soon, I hope.
Oh my gosh. What is your biggest piece of advice to me?
Get a house near us so I can help you. That's my biggest giant piece of advice.
I mean, it's our biggest goal at this point.
I know. I mean, you literally have to be right here.
Yeah, I need help.
So Dad and I can help you.
Yeah. That's it.
That's my biggest
You're going to need my help.
I mean, truthfully, I don't know if you could do it by yourself.
No.
Well, I don't think you could.
Well, and Jared's, I mean,
he's gone a lot.
He's going to be gone sometimes. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it alone.
Yeah.
There's just no way. I'm lucky that I have you guys.
You
Not
are.
everybody does.
No. And the other advice I have is just because you had a mom that wasn't so great doesn't mean you can't be a great mom.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can turn that around. You don't have to follow that. I mean, I only had my mother till I was 10 years old. So I didn't have a mother very long.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm a great mother.
You're the best.
So you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you don't have a great mother. Because there's lots of people that really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately. And just because you don't have to have kids either.
Yeah.
If you don't want kids, you don't have to have a kid.
Yeah.
Nobody can force you to have one. And, you don't have to have one. You don't have to be a parent. Everybody is not cut out for it.
Well, and there's a million.
It's freaking hard.
Well, and life-changing.
Yes.
And consuming, all consuming.
The rewards are so great, but it's also really, really hard. It's very hard to be a parent because you're responsible for a human being. That's crazy.
I think what we're kind of, as a society, understanding is there's a million different ways to have a family. And it doesn't mean you have to have a child. There's a million different ways to foster community and to put your time into something that matters, where it's it doesn't have to be this very black and white situation. So I'm happy that I think our generation is the first that's kind of understanding that. It doesn't have, if it's not right for you, that's okay. And there's so many ways to find value in life other than that.
Right. I mean, and like I said, everybody's not cut out for it.
Yeah.
It's just not for the faint of heart.
No. I mean, it's taken me this long to be am I? I don't know.
You are definitely cut out for it.
I don't know.
You are. With my help, you're cut out for it.
I really want to go drink a cocktail on the beach right now.
That is going to be an issue. You cannot have a cocktail.
Yes, I can.
Not during your pregnancy.
Well, not during my pregnancy. I just mean in general.
Oh, yeah. I mean, afterwards you can.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I loved having you here.
I love being here.
I love podcasting with you. And I love being your daughter.
Thank you, honey. I love you too.
All right.
And that's the other thing. Make sure you tell your children you love them.
Yes.
Many, many times a day.
Yes.
Always. I mean, even now, I tell you I love you
all the time.
all the time.
I've said it probably 5 times on our podcast so far.
Right. So that's a huge must.
Yeah.
That way your child doesn't have any like doubts that you love them because you're telling them all the time that you do.
Yeah. It's really important.
It really is.
The most important.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too. Mwah.